Welcome, my friends, to the West Moody Webcast, where we talk about current events, pop culture, occasional conspiracy theories, occasional car talk, gaming streams, and I will vlog about whatever the heck I want to because it is my webcast. Welcome, my friends. I was not intending to go live tonight, but I think it's really important that we kind of talk about what's happening today. Once again, I think Conspiracy Guy was right. I seem to recall Conspiracy Guy saying something about warning of something that's happening. But we're going to talk tonight about the digital Kristallnacht that just happened. Kristallnacht, of course, referring to a demarcation in pre-World War II, post-Weimar Germany, in which with the blessing, of course, of the government, the brown shirts, they ran out and they smashed all the windows and abused, the certain proto-Christian folks that were worshippers of a proto-Christian religion, we'll say. So we are experiencing our own digital Kristallnacht tonight, and it's important to talk about it. So I'm sure everybody's heard about it, but President Trump has been permanently banned from Twitter. Can't even post on the POTUS account. Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, agree or disagree with them. They've been deplatformed. Even Rush Limbaugh has been deplatformed. And I believe the Quartering, Jeremy from the Quartering, was either deplatformed or voluntarily left. I'm not sure which is which yet, but the events are unfolding very quickly, and you can't even really get the alternatives. Parler and Parler, for example, has now been deplatformed from the Google Play Store and the iTunes. So certainly appears that there's been a high degree of coordination here, doesn't it, folks? Really does. Hail Phil, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Hail to Helium29, good to see you, my friend. Helium29 says its version of the Night of the Long Knives. Yeah, a lot of parallels you could draw to it. Hail, just another red shirt. Welcome, my friend. Phil says all this banning shit makes me sick and mad. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, and I think I've talked about it before, but I saw it coming. I think we all kind of saw it coming. I think we all thought that this would happen maybe after Biden took office, maybe 2 or 3 weeks into his administration. We might have a little bit more leeway before it happened, but they're not even waiting. They're doing it now, and it's pretty disturbing. So yeah, Gab and Parler have been overloaded because once they did that to President Trump and some prominent anti-establishment voices, they many of those followers went over to the other platforms, and they've either been overloaded or they're under attack. We don't know yet. So here's the thing. A lot of times the browser and your phone, if you use them on your phone, you can use the browser and you can hold on to add a shortcut, and you can drop a shortcut onto your home screen. You can do that on an Apple or an Android device. So that's certainly one way to get around it. A lot of times apps are overrated, in my opinion, but there's a way around it. Another monster says, "Sup, y'all? Relax. I'm here now. We're relaxing, but not too much. We're looking over our shoulders. Mike F says Joe Bribin is on new meds. It certainly looks that way. Wookiee Supremacy says they're doing it now because they're scared. This is an act of panic. Clearly. It clearly is. So, I'm not taking anything that they're saying at face value. It just all seems too scripted. It all seems like it was under, everything's going according to plan, and it's really disappointing that we didn't get our Electoral College challenges that we were supposed to get. It was a long shot, and everything had to go right for it to work. And we'll see. But I mean, we're not going to go anywhere. I mean, we will go. We'll still all be people and still be alive, hopefully. And we're connecting with one another. I mean, I've exchanged numbers with several of you, and may not be a bad idea for us to. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. But we need to build our networks, folks. We need to build our networks, and exchanging numbers might be the best way to do that. If things happen, things have already happened. If this continues, because they're not only going after people on prominent voices on the major platforms, they're also trying to deplatform the small platforms. And I believe in addition to this, they've done an Alex Jones style unpersoning to Trump. I do believe that Trump cannot raise money through PayPal now. And it's again, we all saw it coming, but it's just surprising just how fast it went. Another monster says, and all this desperation will end in the backfire of epic proportions. Will you be surprised how otherwise rational people are cheering this on? And they don't seem to understand that what's happening to us today can happen to you tomorrow. Phil says, maybe you could sideload the last version of the Android app outside of the Google Store. Maybe. Shellnex says, when you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You are only telling the world that you fear what he may say. Tyrion Lannister. Yeah, it's a good quote. Wookiee says, you want to hear a fucked up theory? This was the plan the whole time. Hillary was supposed to lose. America was supposed to be split in two, and now they're waiting for us to go ballistic. Wookiee says the Capitol was a setup. I definitely think that the speeches seem to have been prepared well ahead of time. The narrative seems to have been crafted well ahead of time. And as we learn things, as events unfold, we'll find out more about the Capitol. But it certainly seems very Reichstag fiery, if you know what I mean. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at it. There's either, I'm surprised that they didn't have higher barriers around the Capitol for something that important. But I don't think there is anything wrong with people wanting to go into the Capitol. Capitol is the people's house. And it certainly seemed like some of those police officers were patriots and sympathetic to the cause. So, when you have that many people together, I'm sure that you're going to have some that are provocateurs and some that are patriots and, some that aren't. Wookiee Supremacy says, Trump called them all there. Did he set us up? Was this the plan? Well, I mean, since we're on conspiracy here, I'll go ahead and I'll posit a theory. I'll posit a theory. I think maybe part of him wanted the Capitol stormed. I think he may have been thinking about it. And I think once he read the crowd, he didn't want it. I think if he were, if he wanted the Capitol stormed, I think he would have asked them to do it while he was speaking at the Capitol. He was scheduled to speak at the Capitol, so we're not going to know. But certainly, this gave, whatever you think of it, this gave Congress, they clipped his wings in a big way. He's just going to be lucky if they let him stay in there. Ken Jack Ben says supposedly Nancy Pelosi's laptop was stolen, or one of her underlings. It was, and we need to get that to WikiLeaks ASAP. Hail the memes of destruction. Welcome, my friend. Somebody says, what irritates me is all the people race baiting with, if it was only BLM, they would have shot everyone. Yeah, that bothers me too, Shellback. And anytime somebody puts that in front of me, oh, what if it was a black person, or what if it was black people or Muslims? And I said there were black people and Muslims in the march, and they were probably welcome to come. Mike F disagrees. No. Hail Mikhail Wolf. Welcome, my friend. Hail Keck 44. Welcome. Shellback says nobody in Congress is worth two shits. Well, Thomas Massey is worth two shits, but everyone else is not. Rand Paul might be worth half a shit. Yeah, the gaslighting is off the charts. I mean, they are spinning this thing. If you watch the mainstream media, they are spinning this thing like crazy. And so, yeah, they're going to use it. They're going to use it to tar us all as insurrectionists. And traitors. They're going to do all of that stuff. Ken Jack Ben says he would have just said so, and he said nothing of the kind. That's a CNN lie if I ever heard one. Well, that's part, if we're talking gaslighting, that's kind of the problem, isn't it? Because wasn't Trump several times said, go home in peace, go home. And every time that he did that, every time that he asked people to go home in peace, they kept deleting his tweets and they kept deleting his video messages. And then they said, he's stoking riots. I don't see how you could say that Trump was the impetus for the storming of the Capitol, the way that it went down. He was supposed to speak there, and he didn't get that opportunity, unfortunately. Hail Clobbern Times. Welcome, my friend. Shellback says, well, I mean, Hawley and Cruz objected, but yeah, but we had 10 other senators that were going to object, and Ken Jack Ben says, I seriously believe that it was a plot by the Democrat handlers to scare the rhinos back in line. Oh, it'll all come out. It'll all come out eventually. I wouldn't doubt it. Certainly looks like those speeches were, and that narrative was crafted well in advance. Shellback says the media was calling it insurrection and all that bullshit before anything ever happened. Well, why are they calling it insurrection? See, because years before Trump got into office, people were talking about using the Logan Act against people attending the Bilderberg group meetings. And Trump gets into office. The Logan Act is used against Michael Flynn for doing his constitutional duty. And so now, there were rumblings of people saying that Trump should use the Insurrection Act, which would have been a huge mistake, I think. And now what you're going to get is Biden is going to use the Insurrection Act, and he's going to use it against us, is my theory. Which will be a very bad thing, because they're already not just deplatforming many of the people that were prominent voices, but people that were at the actual demonstration, they're being deplatformed. And many of those people that were at the demonstration that were identified as being in the Capitol are on the no-fly list now for life. This is very disturbing. Mikhail Wolf says, America is in a world of hurt for the next 2 years at least. Anyone who wants free markets and freedom of speech will be brushed with what happened this week. Yeah, well. Memes of Destruction says, didn't Mayor Giuliani say we should have trial by combat? Well, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, they're some of them are using that too. It's a pretty common saying, I mean, it doesn't mean actual combat. It means it's just a figure of speech. But they'll try and spin it as something else. Lone Wolf 9390. Remember how the libs spent the last 4 years treating Trump? Well, turnabout is fair play. I'm going to spend the next 4 years saying not my president and impeach. Well, I would just show them videos of Hunter Biden getting a foot job by a Chinese hooker. I would talk about his ties to China. The facts are on our side. But the question is, where are we going to be doing that? Because Twitter clearly, see, in a way, and in a way, Twitter has kind of sowed this, unless Twitter is getting money elsewhere, they've kind of sowed the seeds of their own destruction. So yeah, what's going to happen is that we're going to be in that lull in between AOL and MySpace. And you're going to have like bulletin boards or small sites like Parler, Gab, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. And you're just not going to, have most of that stuff in one place anymore. So it's just going to go back to being a little bit more like that, because that's just the way it is. And the people that are left on Twitter are just it's going to be a low IQ circle jerk. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be people with sub 80 IQs that don't have an orange man to kick around anymore. And they're just going to sniff each other's farts and jerk each other off. Wookiee Supremacy says, I think it was a failed false flag event and they're still running with it. Oh, yeah. I think they wanted a Reichstag fire. I think that's what they wanted. Memes of Destruction says legalize dueling. Well, I don't know about that one. If it's with a sword, sure. If it's with guns, probably not. Shellback says, I think Getz said something too about what good did it do. Well, it's very disturbing. Mike F says, Consuela needs more lemon pledge to clean the mess up. Yeah. Mike F, good one. Yeah. Vigilante Williamson says, it was a massive psyop. Certainly appears that way. I mean, clearly, clearly it is on the American people right now. Well, look at the way the propaganda is going out right now. They really, really are trying to craft a narrative here. They're really trying to craft a narrative that this was some kind of coup or insurrection. But I've got another idea of what I see. They think it's a coup or an insurrection, but what it really was something a little bit more like this here. And I won't. I think we could all use a good laugh. So hang on. So they're saying it's a coup or an insurrection, but it's really something more like this. This scene from The Breakfast Club, where they escape from detention and they run through the halls. I have the audio off, which is a shame because this is a fun part of the movie. So the storming of the Capitol was more like this than it was a fucking coup. All right. Wookie says if a major bombshell doesn't happen in the next few days, it looks to me like the last 5 years went exactly to plan. Yeah, well, that's a scary thought, Wookie. Did I see the Graham footage at the airport? So funny. Yes, I did. And in fact, what a good segue to bring it. So let's share this. Yeah, these people, they're really greatly overreaching.
You traitor! You traitor! You traitor! You're a traitor! Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You garbage human being!
This is from the New York Post. So they're throwing down some commentary. If we could just see the raw video, that would be great, dude.
You traitor! You traitor! You traitor! You're a traitor! Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country!
He's a dirtbag politician. He called for he said that the problem was that the Capitol Police didn't use lethal force on the protesters. And I find that to be very offensive. Ken Jack Ben says that Lindsey Graham airport footage looks like that BLM struggle session. Nonsense. Not cool. Well, people are angry. And unless you acknowledge their anger, you're going to see more of that. Biden won't make it through his first year. The Dems will now be making their Stalin list of enemies. We will see people disappearing. Well, all bets are off. Chat's jumping on me here. Memes of destruction. Conspiracy hypothesis. President Trump was banned because he was going to tweet aliens, bruh. Mic drop. Well, if he has knowledge, he should definitely drop that knowledge sooner rather than later about a lot of things. But right now, he has to worry about the cabinet using the 25th Amendment on him. So he's pretty much really going to have to be on his best behavior for them to let him sit out his term. Ken Jack Ben says Biden has had 2 aneurysms. He's practically a walking corpse. He won't make it through his first week. That we know of. Ken Jack Ben, that we know of. Oh boy, I'm way behind on the chat. Lancey Williamson says they will eat each other without an orange man to hate. Probably. Earl of COVID says it's okay when the left absolutely destroyed small businesses and cities, but Trump fans go to a government building and suddenly Nazism for a few hours. And they ran through the hallways, and a girl got murdered by the police. Murdered. Again, the Capitol is kind of the source of the problem, right? The small businesses, not the source of the problem. When Kenosha happened and they attacked the police precincts, I remember thinking that it's good to protest outside of who you feel is responsible. And I didn't think ransacking it was the way to go, but I mean, that's who the beef was with. So that's that's where they should have been. Vigilante Williamson says we must organize under truly peaceful protests, i.e. the yet to be Me Too'd MLK, so as not to give up on anything for their mob lawyers to use. Trump sold us out. I know that's an unpopular take. I don't think he sold us out. I disagree with that. I do not think he sold us out. I think that he got outplayed. That's what I think happened. I think he got outmaneuvered. Trump was a great president, the best president of my lifetime. I think he had good intentions. I think he fell short in some areas. One of the issues that I have is that I think he was all tactics and no strategy. He was very good at reacting and employing tactics. And the problem with the march, with the January 6th event, is man, it backfired pretty drastically. Lone Wolf 9390 says one of the most secure buildings in the United States, and security got breached by someone in a wheelchair. Color me skeptical. Yeah, exactly. It's not fun when it's their house. See, Nancy Pelosi's like, oh, somebody sat in my chair. Oh, my ice cream is missing. When I say their house, I mean our house. It is our house. Protesters had a perfect right to go into the Capitol building. Yeah, Mac. I'm getting behind on the chat here. Wookiee Supremacy says, didn't Maxine Waters tell people to do just that kind of thing? I'm pretty sure she did. Yes, she did. I feel Juke says, struggle session. He was surrounded by armed guards with his head in his smartphone. Hardly struggle session like. Mike F says, I'm on the enemy list, but I have a list too. Well, let's Mike F says, Trump exposed the enemy. Yes, he did. He did. He absolutely did, because there wouldn't have been such a brazen steal if he had. There would not have had. There wouldn't have had to have been such a brazen steal if he hadn't been so far ahead. And you know, the stopping of the counting when they did, it just doesn't make any sense. Whoops. Memes of Destruction says, I agree POTUS is a master marketer, but like you said, he must take responsibility for his actions. Well, he's very good at going from the gut, and he's very good with his tactics, but the strategy, I think, was a bit of a problem. He needed to have a little bit more of an overarching strategy, and that's where he failed. And he predicted all the problems that were happening with the balloting, and he should have had boots on the ground for that stuff ahead of time. Hindsight's 2020, of course. I just think he underestimated what a coordinated effort there was against him. Vigilante Williamson says, leftists had their articles written last week, and he didn't know what was going to happen. Now I'm done with him and all politicians. Well, I understand why a lot of people feel that way. Wookie says, the most secure building on the planet got hit with a commercial airliner, and all I've got is this grainy couple of seconds from one camera. This isn't new. Yeah, that's true. So, yep. So, yeah, I mean, you already see where the narrative is going, right, folks? So they're going to try and paint. Here's what's happening. They're deplatforming President Trump because they know that he wants to run again in 2024. So they're deplatforming President Trump so that they can craft the narrative, and they can paint his 4 years in office however they want to paint it. And they're going to probably paint him as a scandal-ridden, unstable leader, a bungler, and they're going to paint us, people that have people that have supported him or are perceived to have supported him, as basically being traitors and treasonous, and they're going to try and concoct all kinds of tactics to go after you and dox you, go after your business, get you fired. It's going to get very ugly, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Once bribing gets in, what's going to happen is they're probably going to use the Insurrection Act, or they're going to pass new legislation. And if you do have anything on social media, even something as innocent as this webcast, they're going to investigate you. They're going to look into your taxes. They're going to dig around in some of your records. They're going to find something, because if you look hard enough, you're always going to find something. And, you're going to have to get an attorney. And even if you prevail against whatever it is they try to throw at you, you're still going to have to pay an attorney. And since having had to pay an attorney last year for, I'll briefly touch on it, because I mean, look, if I'm going to be doxxed, I might as well talk about it. So I used to have a job working for the state government, the state of California. I was a budget analyst. Okay. And I had a panel, very nice people that hired me. And by the time I got hired to the time that my first day had taken place, everyone that was on the panel that hired me had transferred out, and I was stuck under people that did not want me to be there. They wanted to get one of their friends in, right? And so I had this horrible cunt boss. And if you're smart and you are competent and do a good job, you ain't welcome in state government. All right. So this bitch was throwing everything she possibly could at me, including telling everybody she was going to get rid of me. She would go around the office and say, because I got hired on at a higher level than most people get hired on at. Most of the time, you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. But because of my qualifications, I got in at a higher level, a higher classification. So this horrible cunt was going around the office and saying, "Oh, it's a shame. I never would have hired him off the street. You start off at this classification. You're here for 4 years, and then you get that job." And she says it's a shame he doesn't have a backup, because in state government, if you get promoted or you get transferred and you completely fuck up your job, they just send you back to where you came from. You don't get fired. So she was she was going around the office telling everybody, "Oh, well, at least I get to fuck him before I get rid of him." And she was like making these crazy weird advances towards me with this weird rape fetish. And I was like, "Oh my God." You know, made me a little uncomfortable. So she got me, I didn't pass my probation, and she got, and so I filed a complaint, and in retaliation, she said that I had called her and death threatened her. And in state government, they have a branch of the CHP that will, a special branch that will investigate that kind of stuff. And so I'm no longer working at the state, and I'm like, I never want another state job in my life. And she sends the CHP to my place of business, and they're whipping out a picture of my driver's license, asking everybody where I am. I know nothing about it. People are like, and the secretary's like, "Where are you?" Like, they thought I was a murderer or something because they didn't say anything about it. And I mainly worked from home, but I had that office address there because that's where my license was hung at. And so this horrible cunt, in retaliation for me filing my complaint, fabricated a story about how I'd allegedly called her office line and death threatened her. And I had to get in a. By the way, I won a cash settlement for her antics. By the way, I won a cash settlement, which never happens. Like, it was that egregious. It was that egregious, her behavior. So, I'm driving one day. This is last year. This is 5 years after I'd worked at this place. 5 years after I'd worked there. And I got hauled off to jail. And I had to get bailed out. And I had to get an attorney. And I had to spend $3,000 on an attorney because some horrible, stupid cunt got all bent out of shape. Ooh, I'm getting mad. But you know what? Hey, man, I don't have to work there. I will never work at a place like that again. And people that choose to work in a place like that get exactly what they deserve. Good night, Kinjack Ben. Lone Wolf says, the Democrats' agenda was never really about getting Biden elected. He was just the stooge they used to get their foot in the door of the White House again. Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, man, that chick was weird. Like I tried to avoid her at all costs, and we came from some training, and I was getting in the elevator, and she put her hand to stop the elevator door closing. And she's like, I didn't want to walk alone, because rape. I'm like, yeah, get away, fucking psycho. Wookie says, really, I want to go twice as hard and see how long it'll take till my YouTube channel gets nuked. I'm going to keep going for it. Yeah, if I get nuked here, I'll just pop up somewhere else. Mike F says, I had a government job. I remember that day. Yeah, fuck that. By the way, folks, we could nuke 75% of our state government and it would run probably better than it does now. I only had one spreadsheet to do a month. That's all I had to do. And I don't care how slow you work. You could never work that slow. Hail Xavier Morales. Xavier Morales says, I have a couple of small theories on this. As much as I hate Q, especially now, I hate to say it, but Q June 4th, 2020 says, I POTUS removed from Twitter. More sounds like what's going on. Yeah, they sure are. Well, I did, but then, I didn't win as much as I should have either. But the whole point was, you don't get to, my ego. I'm just a woman. Oh my God. Fuck you, you cunt. Xavier Morales says Parlor is down. Yeah. No. Yeah, indeed. Hail Drew. Welcome, my friend. Parlor is as stable as Cyberpunk right now. This is Vigilante Williamson. Yep. Phil says, I'm following Weston about 9 others on Parlor, but no one is following me there yet. Let me see. I'm trying to follow everybody that I can. Trying to figure out how I can figure out who. Shit. There's all kinds of people that are following me that I need to follow. I'm getting used to the interface. And if you have a different name on Parlor than you do on Twitter, can you let me know what that is? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I see just another red shirt. Happy Dino. Oh, wow. Steve Kenobi, Vigilante Williamson. I had absolutely no idea any of you were following me. Parrot Head's there. Bruce Lombardo's there. Shadowman's there. Runner is there. Atlantean's there. Wow. Okay, I followed all of you back. I had absolutely no idea you guys were following me. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out Parlor. Hail Comics Division. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Says, I created an account tonight. Fuck Twitter. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is going to... See, I don't think they want... it's divide and conquer. They don't want us to have conversations. They don't want to wake people up. They don't want people to wake up. It doesn't serve their interest to have people woken up. So they're going to get rid of us. They're going to craft a narrative about how we're insurrectionists and terrorists. And that, we're not going to be able to defend ourselves. Because, it takes a little bit of skill to be able to turn someone around, right? When you engage in a conversation, sometimes what I've found is when somebody goes at you hard to insult you or try to get a rise out of you and they're part of that SJW mob, if you just sit back and say, "Huh, that's interesting," or you say, "Now, why would you think that?" or "I don't understand what you're telling me," one of two things will happen. Either they'll come at you with more insults, or they'll say, "Well, how can you not understand that?" And I'll say, "I don't understand that. Can you explain it to me?" And they'll start to explain it. But this will happen 1 out of 4 times. But they'll start to explain it, and they will themselves start to see the holes in their theory and go off and do their own research, and that can turn people around. I mean, the vast majority of them, it's like Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool a man than it is to convince a man he's been fooled. So, that's the way it is. But yeah, comics, I think I followed you back over there. So if not, I'll give you a follow. Yeah, Parlor. Yeah, I think they're going to need to upgrade their infrastructure pretty soon. But man, we've got to keep engaging in dialogues. We've got to, even though even though there's a temptation to go hard at these people and engage in the back and forth and the anger, we've got to keep our cool, and we've got to do our best to try and change hearts and minds. Oh, the chat's jumping on me here. Drew says, I was going to see if I could trigger YouTube by going live and sharing my footage, but hey, Wes went live. I'm just going to go for another 10 minutes or so, Drew. I was just, I woke up from a nap and I was like, I just felt like I felt in the mood to go live. So I'll go for another 10 minutes and then I'll wrap and I'll probably hang out in the chat. Because I would like to see that footage. Okay, perfect. Drew says, I'm on Parlor too. Mine is just at Supreme Heretic. Let me make sure that I've got you there. Yeah, the scariest part is the deplatforming of the alt social media. That's really pretty disturbing. So one of the things on my list here is to get Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute and Gab and Parlor all up and running. So I'm gonna have to organize all that stuff. So anyway, the point of my story was when the inevitable doxing comes, and it will, they're going to see that arrest record for criminal threats or whatever it is that stupid cunt decided to put in there. So whatever. Boy, it must suck going through life being such a vile cunt. Vigilante Williamson says, I don't social media much as I'm a boomer. Well, that's good to know. Hail the author Stephen Walton, the fandom menace historian, our historian, born and bred in the chats of the High Council. Welcome, my friend. I hope I did that justice. Shellback says, I'm just going to make sure my aim is still good. Always a good idea. Hail the jack of all casuals. Hey, guys, scary times right now. It is. It's digital Kristallnacht, man. That's what it is. I think it's probably a good idea that we exchange numbers, folks. I think it is a good idea to do that. Vigilante Williamson says, I just started Odyssey and I don't get it. I don't either. Kale says, I just started up on Parlor and I decided to follow everyone. Yeah, I definitely think I think that Exchanging numbers is a really good idea. Also, hail LDG Pixels. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. I also think don't be a dummy like me and have a, when I set up my YouTube channel, I already had an existing channel and I had it all tied to the email address of my business. And I was like, oh shit, that's not good. Because if I get deplatformed, they would wipe out everything. My Google Voice, my Gmail, my YouTube channel. Because when YouTube wipes your channel, they don't just wipe the channel, they wipe your entire Google account. If you have Google storage, they nuke that. They nuke everything. So thankfully, I was able to get everything untethered. I did that about a month ago. I was able to split off the business part from the YouTube channel. So now if they nuke the YouTube channel, I mean, it'll still be inconvenient, but I'll still have all my business stuff on the other one. Alrighty. Well, I think I think about an hour is all I've really got the stamina for tonight. I'm just getting over this cold. I'm about 90% right now. I still have a little bit of an itchy throat. So I don't want to start coughing and hacking up a storm midstream. Let me go ahead and I'll put Drew's channel in the chat. He's about to go live in just a few minutes, and we'll catch him over there. I'll be in the chat hanging with you, my friends. I want to hear exactly what footage Drew got and the journey he was on. But my closing thoughts on at least the DC part of it. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. That was if Trump was really wanting a coup and a riot, Trump would have said that. Okay. And they would have done, and many in the crowd, not all of them, but many in the crowd probably would have done it. But he didn't do that. He told them to be peaceful, and then for some inexplicable or explicable reason, Twitter decided to delete all of his calls for peace, and then they crafted a narrative where they said he was calling for violence. It's funny how that works. So here's where you can find my good friend Drew Taylor, aka Supreme Heretic. He will be streaming in a bit. I do thank you for hanging out with me, my amazing friends. This will now turn into a video. It will be available on the Conspiracy or Conspiracy channel and the Conspiracy or Conspiracy playlist on the main channel. This has been West Moody, the West Moody Webcast. See ya!